carry your weight. There ain't no time to debate. You gotta push through life. On my life, I call it how I see it, just because you need it. On my life, every day and every night we gotta fight. Yeah, we gotta fight it. Fighting for success.
All right, I'm here with somebody cool, and here's the cool thing about this. She's the first female in the studio with me, and I think that's pretty special. So I'm here with Lauren Louive, and I got the name right. I had to ask 4 or 5 times. I've been a fan of this young lady in the sport of wrestling for many reasons, and I happened to be in Colorado at the Olympic Training Center. I saw her, and I was like, hey, I know her from a camp, and she's awesome. I would like for her to be on my podcast. So I went over and asked her, and she was gracious enough to say yes and to join us in the studio. And we're going to get into all our accolades and all that stuff, but I want to talk to Lauren about her life. Lauren, welcome to the Fighting for Success podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. We're sitting in Colorado Springs, and we're going to get to why you're here in a bit. But I want to go back. I want to go back to the beginning of, your early memories. What was your childhood like? Yeah, let's start with just that before we get to the wrestling stuff. How'd you grow up? Where'd you grow up? What's going on?
I grew up in Northeast Ohio,
all right,
on a small little horse farm. So my family breeds, trains, and sells horses, quarter horses. Yeah, so I grew up, on the farm doing some work, and my parents made sure they wanted us to be well-rounded. So we were in lots of, sports and activities and different stuff.
So Ohio is it's very. I live in Indiana, so it's a very similar state to Indiana. Yeah, Johnny DeGiulio says that we are the same thing. We have 2 cool cities and everything else sucks. That's what he says. Because he's from Ohio, so he can say that. So, yeah. I love Indiana, and I love the Midwest. It's tough in the winter for me. It gets more tough every year that I'm there. But horse farms. So you since you've been born, it's been horses in your life?
Yeah. We've my parents joke, and they're like, "Oh, you could ride horses before you could walk."
Yeah, really.
So I really, really grew up riding, and my sisters. I mean, I still ride when I go home. My parents have my horse, and
certain style, or just in general. Did you guys actually compete?
Yeah. We grew up competing barrel racing.
Oh wow,
my sister does a lot of rodeo. I grew up barrel racing, and actually recently in the last couple of years we've gotten into mounted shooting.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So that's a lot of fun too.
That's neat.
I feel like a real cowgirl then.
That's awesome. So you're a cowgirl. That's incredible. Farming is in living in the Midwest. You see a lot of farming and horse farms and stuff like that. But that life is hard.
Yeah.
Like people don't understand. Were you the typical Midwest girl that woke up, went, fed the horses, cleaned the stalls before you went to school type thing? Was that part of your life?
Yeah. We did a lot of that, and I mean, I was lucky that I didn't have to do it all the time. Like we take turns, or like, my dad, he was retired pretty early on. So if we had sports or something going on, he'd be like, "Oh, I got it," or, whatever, meet out the farm when you're done, or something like that. So, I mean, it wasn't super strict for us.
Yeah. I just, there's a thing back in the Midwest, and it might be elsewhere, but we take pride in farm strong.
Yeah.
And because, I mean, there is a type of working out that happens in that environment that you don't get elsewhere. I mean, back when we were in, I was in school, I'm quite a bit older than you, but there was like, you knew which teams had the farm boys, it's like they were the tough, you get a lot of big old boys, farm strong. So you're in the horses. You said you mentioned other sports. What other sports did you do prior to wrestling or with wrestling?
I was actually a big runner. So I actually,
Most wrestlers hate running.
I love running.
Really?
Yeah. That was actually my sport. Actually, I started wrestling to help me stay in shape for running.
Oh, it's usually the other way around.
No. Yeah, I was a big runner. I was like ran track and cross country. I was like, I need a sport to stay in shape in the winter.
You're a sprinter?
Time. No, distance.
Yeah. You're built like a sprinter, though.
That's what everyone says.
Yeah. Well, that's cool, though.
Yeah.
I ran cross country my senior year because I broke my leg my junior year. I was a real small guy, and I played football, because I loved it. But my junior year, I broke my leg, and so obviously pushed my wrestling back a little bit, and so I ran cross country my senior year, and I absolutely loved it. There's something about a runner's high, and people are like, "That's impossible. You can't." But it does something. The endorphins and all that stuff. I really enjoyed it. But that surprised me that you were a distance runner. Or you always stocky?
Yeah.
Really?
I always look like this.
Wow. So that's you're just not built like a typical distance runner. But
right.
But you had success in running?
I did. I even ran in college too.
Oh, really? You did both?
I did qualify for nationals, so I was like kind of proud of that as a cross country runner. Went to nationals in college as well. I mean, I didn't do too well there, but I qualified.
That's incredible, though. You saying cross country? You did? Oh,
cross country.
Was it in college? Is it the 3.1 as well, or is it a?
Yep.
Yeah. So what kind of times were you putting down? What's your PRs?
Oh gosh, I don't even remember anymore, but. I think my fastest in college was a 19, I don't know, 40 something.
No,
maybe.
You're breaking 20. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah. And, so you ran from little kid all the way through middle school, high school, all the way through.
Yeah. When in elementary school, I mean, you just run for fun.
Sure,
my parents would be like, "Hey, go get this.
Go
get that," and I just run to it. You know. And I really started like competitively running at middle school.
Okay.
Yeah, all through college. Yeah.
Was it just because you had a lot of energy? Is that? I mean, were you that kid that just couldn't stop, and so they're like, "Will you make us go run?"
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I liked to. I was like, "Yeah, I'll go get that. I'll be faster than anybody else."
That's awesome.
I think I was competitive.
That's what I was gonna get to. Is your family competitive?
Yes. My dad is extremely competitive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got it from your dad?
Probably.
Yeah. That's usually in the wrestling family. There's usually at least one that's competitive. That kind of modeled that for us. Is your dad a sports guy? Did he play sports?
No. He's just a hardworking, gritty man.
Yeah. Was he early on? Did he do horses from like?
Yep.
So it's been his whole life.
He grew up a farm kid.
Farm strong.
Yeah, farm strong.
That's good.
That's right.
I like it. So now that we know that you're a runner and you started wrestling to stay in shape to run, which sounds weird for me to say, but how's that look? I mean, you're a Midwest girl, you're a runner, you're on a horse farm. It does not really fit the bill. I mean, it seems like you got enough going on. Well, how's wrestling come about?
It was just a couple of different things. One, again, I was looking for a sport to stay in shape during the winter time. And then two, I guess this is another thing too. So when I was 6 years old, I was like, my parents used to make us watch the Olympics. They're like, hey, check this out. This is history happening right now.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting on the floor watching the Olympics, and I was like, I'm going to be there one day.
Wow.
And I was like, I'm going to be there. And I was just like, okay. And I thought it was going to be for running, and I train wrestling, trying to make the Olympic team for wrestling. But yeah, so I was like really, I was sold, like I wanted to be a runner. And so I needed a sport to stay in shape during the winter. At the same time, I went out for the basketball team, right? Because it's basketball or wrestling.
That's right.
It's my school had in middle school anyway. And the basketball coach was like, I think they were joking around. They're like, oh, if you don't know how to dribble a ball, you should just leave. And I was like, well, that's me. I don't know how to dribble a ball. Bye. Wow. And then at the same time, my little brother was wrestling on the youth.
You had a brother that wrestled.
Yep.
Yeah. And he was how much younger than you?
He's 3 years younger than me.
Okay. So he's in 4th, 5th grade, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. 7th, 8th. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he would learn new moves, and we would go to practice with him, right? And just sit there and do something on the sidelines, homework or something. And we would go to his tournaments and everything. So I knew kind of about it. And then he would always come home and he'd be like, Mom, Dad, check out this cool new move I learned. Yeah. And I'd be watching TV on the couch and he'd jump on me and start cranking some move. I'm like, get off me,
Yeah.
So it was I was like, I already know this. And I could probably defend myself against my brother. And I had 3 older brothers that,
oh goodness. So you're the only girl?
And now I have a sister.
Oh, so that's a big family.
Yeah. There's a couple of us.
Yeah, that's good though. So you have 3 older brothers, you said?
3 older brothers.
1 younger brother, and then your sister is?
I have a younger sister. She's about a year younger than me.
Okay.
And then I have 2 older sisters. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
You have your own team.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, that's great. And any of your brothers outside of your younger brother, they wrestle?
No, they didn't wrestle, but they would rough us up. You know?
Okay, yeah, of course. The big brothers.
They just kind of play wrestle with us or play beat us up. And
did they do sports at all?
No.
You and your younger brother were pretty much the only athletes.
And my sister. All 3 of us.
The 3 right
sports.
there together.
I think my older sister ran track and cross country too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Your younger sister, she wrestle?
No, she played basketball.
Oh,
Yeah.
so she could dribble.
She could dribble.
Right on. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's interesting. So so you watch your brother, you get involved. Do you find success pretty early? Because no. Okay, tell me that story. I need to know.
Oh, no. I actually, wrestling for me was the hardest sport I did. So you asked about other sports. I ran track, cross country. I played volleyball. I played soccer.
Oh, wow.
I tried powerlifting for
I can see that. I can see that. Yeah.
I tried it. It was, yeah.
It's tough.
It was in high school. It was tough. And there weren't a whole lot of girls to compete against either.
Right.
So anyways, I tried different sports and stuff, and wrestling was by far the hardest.
Right.
And I loved it.
So you like the grit, the hard.
Yeah. I was good at track and cross country. I had the school records and stuff like that. And I was getting, college offers and things like that to run.
Wow.
But wrestling, that was challenging and it was hard. And I was like, I suck at this. I kind of like it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're drawn to the fact that you weren't good at it.
Yeah, that it was hard for me.
Hard for you.
The other sports I came in and I was, team captain, the soccer team, team captain, track and cross country, that kind of stuff. And it came easy to me, and wrestling didn't.
Yeah, and that's interesting because I think a lot of kids, that's when they kind of bow out. I think especially early on, kids go to the local park and play basketball, pass the football, so they have kind of a knowledge of the sport, those sports, and they go out for it because it's comfortable. You go to wrestling, not too many people are meeting in the park to wrestle.
Right.
It's just not that thing. So they get out there and it's uncomfortable. They're not great at it at first, and typically that's kind of the fall off for kids. But you said that it drew you to it.
Absolutely.
Why were you so gritty?
I think, probably the way I grew up, on the farm and doing stuff, and, probably the way I was raised. My dad was hard on us, in a good way.
Sure.
In a way that's not all that common anymore, and, if, we'd be at the farm and, my dad, I'd be like, oh, I'm hungry. Go get something out of the garden. Go find food, or like, hey, your work needs done, or it's like a hot day, 90 degrees, and like, hey, can we go to the lake? And my dad's like, no, that's what city kids do. We got to make hay.
Wow.
So it's like that kind of, so I think probably growing up gritty, and then, it's 90, 95 degrees out, and you're like, all right, we just, worked all day in the hay field, putting up hay. And then it's like, all right, well, great. Now we got the hay off the ground. We got to get it in the barn. And someone's got to go up in the hay loft. And it's even hotter up there. There's like hotter. A sauna up there. For sure.
That's the original sauna.
So probably growing up that way. In the wintertime, the water's not working. You got to carry the water to the animals. So, the grit probably came from that. I was already doing it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It was familiar to you, the feeling. But the difference is you weren't good at it. Was that a competitive thing for you? Like, I got to figure this out?
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, and so it took you a little while to find success. You wrestled in middle school and high school?
I started in 8th grade.
So 8th grade, yeah.
So yeah. I'm like, I don't want to really count that year, but
right.
yes, that's when I started. Yeah.
And there was a wrestling program at your school?
Yes.
So girls and guys?
No. I was like, hey, can I come out for the team? They're like, yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, so you were on the part of the squad. And what weight did you wrestle your freshman year?
125.
Okay, and wrestled against boys mostly.
Yep. I don't think I've seen another girl until I was like getting ready to go to college.
Gotcha. Yeah. Did that help you or hurt you as a competitor?
Both. Yeah.
Tell me why.
I think it helped in the sense that, like, wrestling the boys, like, there is a grittiness to that, and there's an advantage with the strengths, and you have to power through, and fighting, and that kind of stuff. So I think that was an advantage.
Yeah.
I think the disadvantage was probably a couple different things. One, I compete against women now. Right. So that's completely different. Men carry their weight different than women in the hips and things like that. Another thing it did, wrestling the men, for me, it made it harder for me to take shots. Oh,
because you were just not
I just get my head stuffed. Smashed by those boys, right?
Did it make you not shoot?
For a long time.
Okay, it makes sense.
Yeah, I didn't want to take shots because, I just get my head. I never had success on my shots against the boys because I just get the head stuff. So against the women, I'm like,
Right.
So that was one thing. And then, I did have a coach tell me, because I wrestled the boys all the time. I had a coach that told me, like, you should never lose to a female. You should never lose to a woman. You beat the boys. You wrestle with the boys. You should never lose to a woman. So I had that thinking. Like I believed him.
Right.
You know. So then the first time I lost to a girl, my world about fell apart.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like I'm. This isn't supposed to happen to me.
Right.
Now what do I do?
Yeah.
You know. So I think that having to overcome through that, work through that. Like no. She beat you because she was better in these positions, and we got to figure those positions out.
Yep.
You know, it's like she didn't beat you as a person,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So it's like figuring that kind of stuff out too. And I'm the only girl, you know?
Yep.
No, you got to work through that.
Right. Wrestling's, I've had a few people say the same thing in this podcast, but and I completely agree. But wrestling's a weird sport that we take the losses so personal.
Yeah.
And it is because I think part of it's because we're the only one out there. It's not a team thing. It's we're out there. We're getting exposed. But like you said, it's like it makes you. No other sport makes you question your like being a human. Yeah. Like you're like, am I even worth? Like all this weird stuff. Because you're like, do I have any value? Like, am I worth? Having friends. It's like no other sport does that in my opinion. I've played all kinds of sports. Wrestling will make you think some weird stuff.
Yeah.
And I think because it is such a passion sport and it's so personal, when we're out there, you've put so much into it and you get exposed like that and you question everything coming out of it. You get a similar experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in high school, you were the only girl on the team?
Yeah.
How was that experience for you? Did you accept it by the guys, not only on the team but in the school? What the girls think? How was it? I mean, you got there's girls out there right now that are going to be listening to this, and they're going to say, "I'm in the same situation." What was your experience like?
It was my coach was supportive. Mm-hmm. My high school head coach, he was very supportive of me. And I think that helps.
Yeah.
Whenever I see the coach supports the female athlete, the men follow suit. It's like the leader, right?
Yep, absolutely.
People tend to, whoever you're being led by, you kind of follow a lot of their tendencies, right? And so my head coach was supportive of me. So I had the support of the guys on the team.
That's
now,
good.
They still thought it was weird.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they're like, you're awesome, but I don't really want to wrestle you, because no high school boy wants to be beaten by a girl, nor do they want to be the guy that has to wrestle the girl, even in that situation.
Yeah.
So they were in an awkward position as well, but a lot of those guys, they were my friends or they were my friends' boyfriends, and so there was a lot of that. So I did have the support of my team, so that was great, but I did feel left out of a lot of things, like locker room talk.
Yeah, for sure.
The guys hang out in the locker room before practice, after practice, that kind of thing. Or like one time, picture day. I remember my high school coach, like he forgot to announce it. And then he's like, goes in the locker room, tells the boys, hey, pictures tomorrow, show up and bring this, and this, and I show up the next day and I'm like, very underprepared. And like, I told him in the locker, that kind of stuff. So then going to college and being able to have that camaraderie with the women was a much different feel. And I mean, I like that because I felt a lot closer.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And your peers outside of the wrestling room, they were pretty supportive of it?
I got different reactions. Like, okay, as a female wrestler doing something that's different, you're going to get judged for it.
That's right.
You're going to, get made fun of for doing something different, and so, it combated a lot of that. Like, not everyone, it's not normal. You're doing something different. And so you're going to take slack for that, and I just, I wanted to do me,
Sure.
I didn't care whatever anybody else. I was like, I like what I'm doing.
Did you wear it as a badge of? We're gonna get the sirens, but that's all right. That's what we get for being mobile. Did you wear it as a badge of honor? Did you wear it with a chip on your shoulder? Did you just kind of gracefully go about it? How did you kind of combat the negativity?
I don't think I had a chip on my shoulder. No, not really. And I, sometimes when you're wrestling, my dad would tell me this all the time. You just got to get mad.
Yeah.
You got to wrestle mad. Yeah. And I'm like, that doesn't really work for me.
Right. So you were a calm wrestler? You didn't?
No, not at first. I tried the anger thing.
Did you?
Yeah, okay. I figured out it didn't work for me.
Gotcha.
I didn't know it didn't work for me at first.
Yeah. I think I actually, because I was not a great technical wrestler, I was more just a physical wrestler. Yeah. So the little anger thing helped me.
Yeah.
But I definitely can see it. Yeah, as a coach, I watch a lot of guys try to wrestle angry and it doesn't work.
Yeah,
make them tons of mistakes.
Oh yeah.
And then when you get off the mat, you're just still angry,
Yeah.
you know, and so it goes nowhere. Yeah. So in high school, did you have any success in the Ohio run at all? I mean, were you varsity?
I successfully made varsity all 4 years.
Nice.
So the minimum requirement was 10 matches on varsity lineup. And I did successfully do that all 4 years. But, you know, usually it was like barely. You know, I barely made the varsity lineup or had the 10 matches or, you know, 12, 15, whatever.
Right.
So, yeah, but I never had a winning record.
Yeah.
You know, and
it's tough.
Yeah, I wrestled against the boys. I never.
Ohio's a good wrestling state, too.
Yeah, they're tough. Yeah. I never made it out of sectionals.
Yeah.
So, I mean, success, how? You know, it was hard and I powered through it.
That's true.
So,
that's
how are you
true.
defining success? Like winning record? No.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And making a team on an all boys team and also competing against boys, you know, pretty much every match. You said you only wrestled one other girl or something like
that? I only seen one other girl because I did some outside competitions, right?
Right.
So I seen another girl at a competition, and I think my high school coach was there, and we weren't in the same exact weight class, but we were close. I think maybe she was the next weight class up or below or something like that.
Yep.
And like, we're gonna have you guys wrestle in the finals, and like part of that was cool, but then part of it wasn't cool,
right?
Because it's like I didn't earn this. I get to be in the finals because I'm a girl and my opponent's a girl, and everyone wants to see us wrestle. So they're gonna. So I was like, I didn't really earn being in the finals.
Sure.
But then at the same time, it's like, well, everyone wants to see this match.
Yeah.
So.
Did you win?
Yes. But it was a good match. We were in overtime.
Oh wow, that's fun.
Yeah.
How was your trajectory, and did you get better quick in high school, or you know, like as a senior, are you competing in the national level with the ladies? Are you doing well at that point? Where were we at as like a senior
in high school?
Yeah.
No. So again, I only had that one match.
It's only the one match total, even with freestyle and stuff like that.
I didn't wrestle freestyle.
Oh, you didn't?
I didn't even know it existed.
Oh,
until
gotcha.
So I started to go to college. Well, I started getting college running offers, track and cross country. And my high school wrestling coach is like, hey, you know, you could go to college like for wrestling. And I was like, no, really? That exists?
Wow.
And he was like, yeah. Because back then there's only 5 colleges that offer scholarships.
There's only a few.
5 in the nation.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he's like, yeah. And I was like, oh. And he's like, yeah, look it up. You know, and so I did my research, and I was like, oh, okay. And, you know, no one was recruiting me. They didn't know who I was.
Right.
So I recruited myself.
Wow.
So, you know, a lot of athletes nowadays, I mean, it feels good to have somebody want you, to have a college like chasing you down.
Right.
And like, it was cool to get the offers for track and cross country, but I recruited myself for wrestling. So I called all of the colleges, all 5 of them.
Yeah. All 5. Yeah. It's wild to think. I mean, because women's wrestling's grown so much.
Yeah.
But at that point, 5, you call them, you can do both sports. Do you get like a dual scholarship type thing?
That's actually why I chose Cumberland's.
Yeah.
Is because they said, hey, if you come here, you can wrestle and run track. And I was like, okay. And the cross country came into play because they're like, we just need you to run 1 track meet.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, great. So I kind of get to do track.
Yeah.
My main focus is wrestling.
Yeah.
So that one main track meet was like their conference meet or something. And I had, what is it? It was a 5K on a track. I think it's like the 10,000 or something.
The worst.
Yeah, it was really boring.
So bad.
But I placed the highest.
Wow.
I think I took 3rd overall conference, and I placed the highest out of our college. And so the cross country coach is of course involved with track, and he's like, run cross country. And I said, if you match my wrestling scholarship, I will.
Wow.
So I got a dual scholarship.
So you negotiated yourself into more money, and that's
Absolutely.
good. That's perfect.
Yeah.
So Cumberland College, right?
Yes.
And where is that located?
So it's University of the Cumberlands.
Yep.
And it's in Williamsburg, Kentucky.
Williamsburg, okay. Because I got family that lives on Cumberland Lake, and so I was wondering how close you were to that, and it's beautiful down there.
Yes, it is. Yeah. Absolutely beautiful.
Did you enjoy your college experience down there?
Did. I love being a part of a women's team.
Yeah.
You know, again, that was a much different experience than being on the guys' team.
Yeah.
Both of them have strengths, and both of them have, you know, flaws too.
Yeah.
But I loved being a part of a women's team, and I felt like that close camaraderie. And I loved being a part of that.
Most of the girls coming in, they come from similar backgrounds, going on guys' teams, coming there. When you get to college, do you find success pretty quick against the women?
So I made the lineup pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So I did like defeat some like juniors and seniors and stuff.
Right.
But again, definition of success,
Sure.
how, right?
Sure.
Because we're competing. And I think I won my first tournament as maybe a sophomore in Canada.
Nice. Yep.
So I was like excited about that. But like I was always probably top 3 or 4.
That's cool. But you have 5 schools are given scholarships, but do you have other squads that you're competing against outside of those 5?
Yeah, so we went to Canada a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a couple Canadian schools, and we competed against them a lot.
All right.
And then also, it wasn't 5 my entire college career because it
Right.
started growing.
Yeah.
So, I don't know how many we had by my senior year, but there was over 12,
Yeah.
maybe 15 by my senior year, probably.
That's nice, yeah.
So it grew while
Yeah.
I was there.
When did you find freestyle?
College.
Okay.
So I left Ohio and went to college, like maybe a month before school starts or so. Oh, July.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're like, hey, we're having this training camp. The coach is like, hey, we're having this training camp because we're going to Fargo. I'm like, what's Fargo? So, it's freestyle. I'm like, what's freestyle?
Wow. Yeah.
So I get, crash course in freestyle, competed out in Fargo,
Yeah.
All-American by the skin of my teeth there.
Wow.
And then, I found freestyle going to college, and women compete freestyle in college.
Yeah.
And so that's, I hated it for the first 3 months.
Really?
Yeah, because it was different. I was
Yeah.
like, I just don't understand.
Right.
So I don't know what.
Yeah.
You get pushed out, you get a point. What?
Such a weird transition from obviously not ever doing it, going to college, having to do it, and then kind of crash course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a big crash
But
course.
after you kind of got the nuts and bolts of it, you probably liked it better.
Loved it because I didn't have to stand up.
Yeah.
You have to stand up on bottom.
Yeah.
I was getting cradled by the guy. Stand up,
Yeah.
head right over your knees,
Yeah,
cradle.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So your college team pretty competitive with all the other schools. You guys, do you have a national tournament there at all?
Yeah,
At that point, I'm saying.
Yeah, because it's just now being recognized as an emerging sport, right? And it's
Right.
now recognized by the NAIA and NCAA,
Yep.
right? So back then we weren't recognized.
Right.
We were recognized by the individual colleges.
Okay.
So that's how we got funding, right?
Mhm.
But we created our own division, so it was called the WCWA, Women's College Wrestling Association.
Oh wow.
So we would have our own nationals there. So it's WCWA National Championships.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you got to compete in that.
Yes.
And how'd you do throughout your years at college with that?
Always third and fourth.
Always third and fourth.
Yeah,
that was your place.
Yeah, I was like right through there. I never really could break through to the finals through college. It was always third and fourth. I did All-American all 4 years, so that was
that's
cool. But and then we started competing at the U.S. Open my freshman sophomore year, going out to Vegas and doing the open stuff there. And I would always All-American out there, but again, never break it into the finals. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You finished college, and how is it that you make this decision to continue the sport? I mean, that's got to be a fairly hard decision to make,
Not for me. I kind of always knew that's
the route. The Olympic route. I mean, that's what
At
you're saying.
6 years old, I'm like, I'm going to do this. And
Wow.
thought it was going to be for running. And then quickly I was like, no, it's wrestling.
Yeah.
And so, I knew even before I graduated that I was going to keep training.
Yeah. So did you go to Iowa straight from?
No.
What was your?
So
route?
I was actually a grad assistant. So after I graduated,
Stayed there.
yeah, and I stayed there, but I didn't want to. I was like, I don't want to coach my teammates.
Yeah.
That's awkward.
Yeah.
So I tried to go somewhere else, and there were no grad assistant positions open. So Cumberland's was open, so I stayed, and it's hard coaching your teammates.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Or being in a different role of how they used to see you.
How long were you there?
2 years.
Okay, a couple years.
Beyond.
Yeah, beyond your school.
Yeah.
Where's your path from there?
So from there, and that was interesting too because I wanted to coach. I actually applied for a couple coaching jobs to be an
So that was a
assistant.
desire, is to be a coach. Yeah.
Yeah. I applied for a couple coaching positions and I got them. Why? I didn't get the one. I got the other one. Oops, sorry.
Very good.
I got the other one. And that I remember competing at World Team Trials. I'd just gotten this position and they're like, yeah, the position's yours. It was a blessing in disguise because they misspelled my name in the announcement, right? That goes out. They misspelled my name. And so they held off on it and I competed at World Team Trials and I didn't get the results right. Again, took fourth because I just missed national team.
Okay.
So took fourth and I was like, oh man. And I was like, I could feel the desire and the passion. And I was like, if I coach, and because I just, was grad assistant for 2 years,
Right.
and it was an eye opener there to like, I'm running practice, I'm trying to get my workout in, and the girls
tough.
are asking me like, hey, what do I do here? What about this position? And I'm trying to coach while trying to get my workout. And you can't tell the athlete, hey, don't ask me questions. This is my workout.
Yeah.
You can't do
Yeah,
that.
for sure.
Yeah. So I was like, if I want to keep training, if I want to give myself the best opportunity, I can't coach yet.
Yeah.
So I didn't get the spot. I took 4th, and then I was like, hey, and I actually turned down that position.
Just because you wanted to focus on yourself.
And Iowa was in the mix there too, right? I
Right.
was like, if I have the opportunity to train at Iowa,
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. And I didn't even get the yes yet. They didn't even tell me it's okay to come train. I was like,
Just believe in it.
yeah, I was like, if I even have the opportunity, I would be so disappointed in myself if I didn't take this. So I turned the job down.
Turn a job down. You make the Iowa school, trip. You go up there. What's that like for you? I mean, you got obviously you get some pretty good training partners. Who's there at that point?
Let's see. My first year there, Metcalf was there, Ramos, McDonough. But I didn't train with any of them.
You didn't train with them?
No.
So who do you train with?
So I brought in my own partners.
Oh, wow.
So Mike Duro was the Hawkeye Wrestling Club coach at the time, and he was the head coach at Cornell College.
Yeah.
So I would utilize a bunch of those partners, and they would come into the Hawkeye Wrestling Club room with me.
Wow.
Also, there were some like walk-ons that I would utilize. So I didn't really, I didn't get to train with the big dogs. I was in the room with them. We're going through the same practice,
right.
that kind of stuff. But, did I get my hands on them? No.
Yeah, it's interesting because obviously you're there training. I didn't know if they had other women there yet. You're the only one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
the only one. So, yeah. So I was the only one I was there for 4 years. So I was the only one there for 3 years.
So how does that work? Did you get a hold of them? Is it like, I want to come train there?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of funny how it happened. So at Cumberland's, again, I'm training for World Team Trials, and I had a coach that I was working with, and he was like, hey, he was in Illinois at the time, because I was at Cumberland's, summertime, no one's there.
Right.
He had he was working a job in Illinois. He was like, hey, come and train here if you want to train for World Team Trials. I was like, cool. So I go there, and his kid that he had to train for me to train with my partners, they all left and went home.
Oh, man.
So I had no partners. And so he's like, let's go up to Iowa. He's like, I know Mike Duro. He's like, we can get into the club there. And so we go up there, and they had a kids club. So we go to kids club practice, and we're training at kids club practice, and we're wrestling, and there was a girl. And so I got to train with her, and I actually knew her family and stuff. And so I'm wrestling with her, and it was really good. And someone invited us to come, to Hawkeye Wrestling Club practice. Like, hey, you guys should come at 9 a.m. tomorrow. I'm like, cool. I think they meant for us to watch.
You showed up
But
to
I
go.
thought they meant for us to come train. So I
Yeah.
was like, cool. So we showed up with our shoes on. We're sitting there, and the coaches come around the corner like kind of shocked to see a couple girls sitting in the stands.
That's
funny.
funny.
And then Coach Duro comes around, and he had seen us the night before at kids club practice, and he's like, hey, what's going on? And we're like, oh, somebody told us to come train, so we're here to wrestle. And they're like, okay. And he
my
like
gosh.
disappears, and they're like kind of, like, oh, what should we do? What should we do? And they come back, and they're like, all right, it's cool if you want to train. And I'm like, all right, cool. So then we start wrestling, they start practice, and we just jump in practice,
That's
and
funny.
at the end of practice, they're thanking us. They're like, oh, that practice was great. Thanks for coming. Anything you need, anytime you want to come back, come back. Well, I already planned to stay all week. So they're like, anytime you want to come back, just come back. And they're like, all right, cool. Thank you, guys. And they yell, practice tomorrow at 3. So I show up the next day at 3.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, and this goes on for the next 3 or 4 days.
That's
and every day they're
awesome.
surprised to see me. So until
awesome.
finally they're like, hey, what are you leaving?
That's funny.
I'm like, I'm leaving when you guys leave for World Team Trials. And yeah, so then after World Team Trials, I didn't get the results, and I kind of followed up with Mike Duro, and he was like, you just need a home base, and wherever you want to train, whether it's here, whether it's there, whether it's Iowa City, Iowa. And I was like, yes.
Yeah.
So.
And they made that happen for you.
Yeah.
That's cool. And did in your 3 years there, did any of the ladies come up and train at all?
We had a couple team. There's a team from Canada that would come down, and they brought a couple women a couple times, and I had a friend from California come in, and it was really hard to talk people into. It's Iowa.
Yeah.
Who doesn't want to come train at Iowa, right?
Yeah,
but it's everyone's got their own thing going on.
for
Everyone's
sure.
got their own schedule, and if there's not a plethora of partners, like people are like, oh, I'm just gonna come and train with you.
Right.
Yeah, but
Yeah, yeah.
so
That makes sense. did you ever consider when they were starting their program to be part of that staff up there for the women? It seemed like would be a natural fit for you.
Not just because for me, I'm still training and competing.
That's right. It's still that
so
thing.
that's still a focus.
Yeah.
Is the training and competing. Would I love to help out and things? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But training and competing. I mean, it's hard to coach and focus on yourself at the same time. And I mean, I know there's a lot of coaches that still do that. There's a lot of young guys that are still competing and they're coaching in order to help support their training, and that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then so after Iowa, you got the call here.
After Iowa, so the female training partners came in, and that was great and stuff. And I'd already been at Iowa for 4 years, and I had gotten better.
Yeah.
So I was in the finals of all my competitions. Yeah. Not all of them, but
majority
of them. I'm like making the finals of Schultz. I'm making the finals of NYC, of the US Open. Yep. I'm winning a couple of them, but I'm making the finals. Yep. So we went over to Sweden International, won the tournament, and won the Schultz and stuff like that. And so I'm like, okay, I'm seeing improvement, but I'm still not getting to right where I need to be.
Right.
So I came out here to train for Final X, and I was like, I think I'm going to stick around here.
So that just the culture with all the women's team being, the women's team's based out of here, right? Like all the teams are based out here, but I'm saying like a lot of the women come here to train.
National team,
yeah. They come here quite a bit. So you have a lot more opportunity to wrestle with those ladies just being based out of here.
Right.
Is that helping you think, kind of elevate? Have you seen any, that improvement from here?
Oh, for sure. In multiple ways, right? Like, I have access to high level, training partners,
regular,
4 out of the 6 Olympians are here.
Yeah.
That just made the Olympic team. So, having access to
they're here full time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Yeah.
So having access to them full time as training partners, and, not just as training partners, but even to talk through some of the stuff that we're going through at the same time, even just being able to talk to, man, that, this happened at practice, or I'm seeing this, and they're like, oh, have you thought about that? Or I remember when I worked through that, or, just being able to bounce stuff off of each other.
Sure.
Like, I remember getting ready for Olympic trials, and we're 3 months out from Olympic trials. In the room, the tension in the room was so thick.
Well, it's all you together, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, I get another 3 months of this. This is crazy, And then, I think everyone cried at that practice at some point. Yeah, it was a hard. I mean, it was a hard emotional practice just because of what's at stake.
Yeah.
And the closer you get, the more critical you are on positions and, I didn't do this right, and this person took advantage of this opening and those kind of things. And so you're extra hard on yourself. Yeah. And then with everyone being like that, it just, But anyway, I remember decompressing in the sauna and talking through it with some of my teammates. And being able to talk through that and know that you're not the only one going through it is helpful. And then seeing how they're working through it. What are some of the things that they're doing to handle it? Yeah. So again, just like in high school, right? High school was like in Iowa because I'm on a boys team. So I'm a part of the team, but I also have to set myself above a higher standard because, I don't want there to be a concern as to why I'm there. Yeah. I'm there to wrestle.
Right. Makes sense. Yep.
I didn't want it to be like, oh, is she looking for a husband here?
Right.
I'm here to wrestle.
Yeah, here to wrestle.
And so I have to make that abundantly clear.
Right.
So, there is no hanging out with the guys outside of practice.
Yeah, makes sense.
And that was kind of hard too, because who are your closest friends, your teammates?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So saying that, how have you developed socially? I mean, being in those environments, it's almost like you're a lone wolf at these places prior to being here. Did you struggle in that area?
No.
I
love people.
So you're fine. You're fine.
I'm innately a social person.
Okay.
So it's actually harder on me to be the lone wolf, but that made me stronger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Because sometimes getting ready to walk into practice, that's a room full of sharks. Iowa. Those guys, that's an intense room.
For sure.
So sometimes before practice, the doors are right here, and I was like,
yeah.
Okay, let's go. You got this. A little psych yourself up, walk in the room. All right, I'm cool.
For sure. Did you gain from Iowa? I'm sure I'm sure you got better all the way around, but would you say that grit that they have there, that because you're a gritty person anyways, what did you pull from Iowa that Lauren took away that this is the benefit?
Oh, great question. Yeah. The benefit, I mean, they work hard.
Yeah.
Right. For sure. The grit and the toughness, I mean, I remember, like doing the hill sprints and, running Carver and stuff, but that's all stuff I loved.
Yeah. You're into it.
Yeah. and so when they're like, we got to run, I'm like, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love to run.
Yeah.
Like, we got hills. I'm like, I'm going to pass everybody,
I've done all this.
or whatever. And, also I'm the girl on the team. So what do I have to lose?
Right.
If I pass one guy, go, woo.
Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah.
So anything that was gritty, I loved it. So yeah, I mean, they work hard, work tough. All of that. But again, that's what I already had.
Yeah.
So coming to the training center, looking to strengthen my weakness, right? There's two ways to get there: strengthen your strengths or strengthen your weakness.
Right.
And I had been strengthening my strengths. So let's work on some of those weaknesses.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting thing. And that's one thing I love about this sport. And I think it translates so much to life is that, well, I know my guys, my team, when I come in there and I'm coaching, sometimes I'll throw it out there, what do you guys want to work on today? Because I want to hear what they say, because everybody picks the thing that they're good at.
Yeah.
And so I always, when they tell me, oh, we want to do, we want to top, I always pick bottom or pick neutral, because I know it's the same thing when you go to the gym. Nobody likes, some people, you probably like training legs because you like the things that suck. So, but most people they're going, let's do chest and buys today. They want to do the pretty muscles, but they don't want to work their back. They don't want to work their hamstrings. When we only grow when we attack the thing, our zero, we call it attacking our zero in our room, right? Where are you terrible? That's where we're going to spend most of our time, because that's going to elevate you, because you're already great here, but working on that terrible thing. If you're people get into your leg and you're terrible at, going shin whiz and trying to defend, then we're going to stay there.
Yes.
Is that what you're getting out here?
Yes.
Yeah.
And again, whether it be because of the partners,
right, or
whether it be, because maybe I've just, that's 4 more years under my belt that I've had training now. So I'm better understanding the sport, whatever that may be. Yes, that's what I'm getting, whether it be from myself, from, the elevation of the people I'm around,
right,
and so the different perspective,
for sure,
so I think all that's helpful. But it's funny that you're talking about, training the weaknesses. I was literally just listening to something before coming in here, and it was talking about MMA.
Okay.
And its earliest form back in the, way BC, early Olympics.
Yep.
So it was like in this form of MMA, I forget what they called it.
Okay.
But it was back and then it disappeared for a while, right? And people then did jiu-jitsu and wrestling and boxing and all those things. And a theory is, why did that happen? Because people train the things that they're good at. So all the people from wrestling wanted to just train wrestling. All the people from boxing,
that makes sense.
Hey, I'm good in this area. Let's just keep training. And then they brought it back together with MMA.
Wow.
But yeah,
that's a great. Yeah, that's interesting that the disciplines used to all be mangled, and then they pulled them apart because people individualized them and wanted to train. That's
a theory, is why it's separated.
But it makes sense. Yeah. But that's life too, right? and that's why I love the sport of wrestling and just combat sports in general, is because it mirrors life so much. We all steer away from things that we hate, but yet I always tell people that the thing in the life they want, the thing in life they want, is just on the other side of I don't want to. Mm-hmm. That whatever I don't want to is keeping you from the breakthrough. I promise you, go towards the I don't want to, and you'll be a different person.
Yep. Do the hard thing.
Do the hard thing.
Yeah. And the hard thing's going to be different for everyone.
Everybody.
What's hard for you is going to be different from what's hard for me.
Yeah. That's what's so cool about it. And the other thing about it is, and like you just mentioned, you surround yourself with enough people. You might be great at something that I'm terrible at, but I can shortcut my struggle by learning from you. Yeah. I don't have to just reinvent the wheel. I can watch you and go, oh, she's really good here. How is she doing this? Okay, that makes sense. That's gonna help my path.
But you have to be open-minded.
That's true. That's true. I think a lot of wrestlers and a lot of combat sports athletes are open-minded, because we get humiliated if we're not. You get humbled so fast in this sport. It does me no good to just be the arrogant guy or think that I know everything. I need to be the student. you know? And another thing I love about this sport is that it keeps you, for the most part, it keeps you humble. You have some characters, you have people playing a certain role, but for the most part, humility is a common thread because every day happens.
Yeah.
You know, you could be the best in the world and just have a bad day, you know, and you get humbled on the mat.
Yeah.
You know, there's probably not much of a worse feeling than being broke.
Yeah.
That's a terrible feeling.
Yeah. And not knowing how to fix yourself.
Yeah. And not knowing, and being in that position where you're just, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I don't know how to fix it. But the cool thing about it is, and I have a theory, and the theory is that you can get better at suffering.
Yeah.
By choosing suffering. Yeah. By going towards it again, right?
If you choose to keep going.
You have to keep going. Yeah. But this sport helps us kind of in that way, right? I mean, if you quit every time it got hard, you're not going to get better. Your goal every day is to suffer.
Yeah. You're
choosing, and Coach Ryan, I say it almost every podcast, he has that book called Chosen Suffering, which is around that idea. And so I fully believe in that you go to the gym to suffer because you know if that you're going to hit suffering at some point, and it's going to make that suffering easier on you. We can get better at it. You know, putting yourself in this environment out here with some incredible women and men and getting beat up and learning and crying and suffering is going to make later better. You know, I like that about this sport, you know.
Yeah, but it's not suffering if you like it.
That's true. You might be a bit of a masochist or something. Yeah, you're like, I love all the things that are terrible. Yeah, but that makes you good in this sport. I mean, for sure, because we are very in a sport that makes you very uncomfortable. You know, but you like that. I think a lot of wrestlers kind of enjoy that pain. You know, which is kind of hard to describe to people. It's like, oh, you like to hurt and sweat, and yeah, I do.
I think it's when you flip it though. Like, you know, you're talking about like, oh, we choose to suffer, which we do. Right. You know, we choose to do all those things. I remember like something that helped me, right, is like when something got hard in a match, you know, and somebody, you know, clubbed me the wrong way, or, you know, give me a little shoulder, you know, just something, right? I'm like, this is what I came here for. Yeah. You know, but thinking like that, like learning that mentality of like, this is why I'm here.
Yeah.
You know?
One thing we say, and I say in my room a lot too, is it's not I have to, I get to. Yeah. And just having that little change in your brain. Yeah. I get to be here. I get to struggle. I love that. That's what that's part of it. It's like, oh yeah, this is what I came for.
That's why the chosen suffering doesn't work for me, because for me it's not suffering. Yeah. For me I'm doing what I love.
But what if you do choose something that suffers? You think that would, like, what do you hate?
Okay. I hate doing like the easy exercises, right? Okay. Like the ones that are like, oh, this is for maintenance. Right. Or this is like, oh, stretching. I don't like to stretch. I hate stretching.
I hate stretching as well. But I think you would probably be better if you did.
Yeah. No, I do. Every 30 minutes every morning, 30 minutes every night.
It's terrible though.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Yeah. But we get better because we do it.
Yeah.
You know, I think that there's still consistency to that. It's like most people try to avoid it, run towards it. You'll be better for it. With that being said, what principles, laws of your life, whatever it is, what have you taken away from wrestling that is applicable and you've used universally in your life?
Well, we've already said it. Do the hard thing.
Do the hard thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Do the hard thing. Go towards the suffering. Yeah. You know, I definitely 100% agree with that. And whatever you said when you were talking about like the thing that you don't want to do is the thing you need to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so big in our sport. I think one of the other ones always comes up is discipline, something that you learn, and you had it obviously as a child. You had to do some things that other kids aren't doing, but discipline's a big one in this sport. You learn, if you're not disciplined, you're not going to have success in this sport.
You're not going to make the weight class to have the chance to have success.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that those are the big ones for sure.
Respect.
That's a good one. That's a real good one, and it's true. Do you find it? The women seem a little like. Is it harder to have that? Like, I don't know. Women can be catty. You know, like, do you see that? Like when you've worked with a bunch of men's teams, and now you're with the women's teams. Which has more drama? Is it harder to keep that respect and that love towards one another with women, or is it pretty much the same for you? All right, a word from our sponsors real quick. So in this podcast, I can be promoted and supported by anyone from a company to cool products, all the way to cool people. And right now I want to talk to you about the latter, cool people. I've had a great group of people reach out and support and really be involved in this podcast. And some of them have even stepped up in a financial way to make sure that this podcast continues and that these incredible stories that we get told get out there to the world. I want to go ahead and just talk about my first one. I had a young lady on this show, and she got a hold of me. First off, she was an incredible guest, but she got a hold of me. She's like, Anton, how do you plan to support your podcast? We went through kind of this whole conversation about me doing this or doing that. And she's like, the reason why I asked is because I want to support you. I want to sew into what you're doing because I believe in it. Let me explain to you how much that means to me. First off, I can't even put it into words. It's just incredible. Not only is she just such an amazing person, she's got such an amazing heart, and she's doing so much in the sport of wrestling and beyond. She's an incredible person to be around. She's infectious. And she's someone that I'm so glad that she's in the sport of wrestling and doing things beyond it, because every person that she's around, she influences in a positive way. She makes this world a better place, not just because she's my sponsor. Yes, that helps and that's awesome and everything, but because of who she is and who I'm talking about. I'm not going to leave you in suspense anymore. It's Lauren Louive. Lauren Louive is an incredible person. She has stepped up and she said, without me even saying anything about the sponsorship, not about me saying anything about even how we're doing what we're doing, she asked the question, how can I be involved? How can I help? And I'm blown away. And so thank you, Lauren. And if you guys out there want somebody cool to teach your kids wrestling, you want somebody cool to speak to your kids, you want someone cool to be a representative for your club to help fundraise and get things done in your club because she's a go-getter. If you want someone to be a motivational speaker around your community, this woman is incredible. Not only is she incredible on the mat, she's incredible off the mat. So we support you, Lauren, and we thank you so much for your support of Fighting for Success podcast. Thank you. Which has more drama? Is it harder to keep that respect and that love towards one another with women, or is it pretty much the same for you?
I think the drama's there universally. Yeah. I think there's the same amount of drama for the men and for the women. It's just different. Okay. It's a different, men do it different than the women. You know, the drama just looks different. That's it. Yeah. It's the same amount, just they handle it different. So, okay.
Because I know my rooms and I know where I've been. Guys, typically we get angry, we kind of blow up, we might, somebody might cuss somebody out, they might storm out.
Mm. The women do that too.
What's it look like for the women? Is it more emotional? Less emotional?
Sometimes, but I've seen just the same amount of men cry after a practice or after NCAAs.
Yeah, for sure.
How many guys do they show crying after an NCAA loss, or people in the stands because their boy just lost, or you know what I mean?
It's an emotional sport.
It is. Yeah. It is. So I've seen the same amount of emotion. So it's not like, oh, the girls are more emotional. Right. It's just the drama, the emotion is handled differently. Sure. So I think that's all it is with that. Equal, yeah. But with the cattiness and and
I don't know. I'm a male speaking to it, so don't know. Yeah. I'm married for 23 years and I have a daughter. So that's my only insights. Yeah.
I think the same levels are there. Yeah. I think it's just held differently. But in regards to respect and respecting your opponent, you don't ever want to underestimate someone, right?
Yeah. You don't. Have you done that?
Oh, yes. Hasn't everyone?
Yeah, sure. But I want to make sure that you're human, though.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, no, I've never underestimated. I'm like, she's not a human.
No, all the time, especially internationally, right? Yeah. Oh, I just have the whatever country, and then they go out and wipe the mat with you. And you're like, what just happened? Yeah. Oh.
They're good.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared for that, right. And sometimes it's just the mentality switch too of, hey, I got to be ready for this. Yeah. I think respecting your opponent and respecting other people just in general. Yeah. I think the sport teaches you that.
I think that's for sure. And that's one thing I love about it for sure. the wrestling community is a very unique community, and I have a love and a hate relationship with it. One, I love it because it's our thing. I hate it because it's only our thing. That's what keeps it from growing. It's what, my theory is that if we had, I said this the other day, and people that are listening know that what I'm about to say, but if I walk downtown Colorado Springs with the men's team that's over here right now, there might be one or two guys that get spotted out by one or two fans. Hey, it's Jordan, whatever might be the case. I couldn't walk from here to the car with Logan Paul and not be mobbed, or Jake Paul. Yeah. Why? It's marketing. It's knowing that eyes mean money. We need more. I don't need theatrics, but we need more personality in our sport and more look in. Yeah. Who's, the fact that we almost got canceled out of the Olympics not too long ago is the most ridiculous thing in the world to me, but I also understand it. When you have 4 people in the stands and more people watching, people polishing ice at that point than they were watching wrestling, we need to, I don't mean
polishing ice.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry for those that are maybe do the curling and things of that nature, but the idea is like, we need more people like you, people that have success. We need people that to be shown and shown to the world, just in personality. You have a personality outside the wrestling realm, and you can marry the two and bring eyes to this beautiful thing we call wrestling. Yeah. So I'm an advocate for that. It's like, I love the fact that we're wrestlers. We're a little cult. We do this thing, but at the same time don't complain when there's $5 in the account to pay you to come out and train. It's like, again, the wrestler will tell you, well, I don't want to spend time, doing PR and stuff like that. Well, okay, that's your zero. That's the part that sucks. You're going to need to attack that, because that's the part that's keeping you from the breakthrough that you want. Yeah. You're seeing more money in the sport, but if you want to really see breakthrough and see more eyes to it, we're going to have to, personality's going to have to be a thing.
And I think we need more of what you're doing is, having podcasts like this, having, and getting the people's stories out there.
Yeah, the story's the powerful thing.
Yeah, for Olympic trials, I was shocked. I thought for sure, and there were some stories out there.
Yeah,
right?
But
not enough.
No.
People knew Helen's story. People knew Jenna's story. Stuff like that. People know Burrow's story, Dick's story, but if you get more of the stories out there, that's what makes people want to watch the matches.
It's compelling. Yeah, that's why we go to movies or anything. You see something, like when I sit down with these people and I hear the story, I'm like, I've heard some of the craziest stories, and I'm like, how have I not known this? Yeah, like the world needs to know this.
Yes,
and just putting it out there in any capacity we can, I think, could bring eyes to it. And plus, it helps a lot of people. There's people going through all different things, and people go, I recognize that. I'm not a wrestler, but that resonates with me. I get behind, when I watch the Olympics, I love the swimming. I love all this stuff. Because I'm a cheerleader of people, but I also get compelled by story.
Yes.
So I'll catch a story of this, girl that's a shooter. She's got this backstory. I'm like, oh my, I gotta watch her.
Yes. How'd she do?
Yes. Yeah. That's more. We need more of that.
Yes. I went to the state wrestling tournament in Ohio, right? A couple years ago, before COVID.
Yep.
And I didn't know anybody. I haven't been following high school wrestling in years, and I just sat down next to one of my old high school coaches, and his wife was like, you gotta watch this match coming up. This guy and this guy, they're in the finals against each other, and they're brothers. And the one kid got kicked out of this school, so now he's representing this private school, and they're wrestling each other, and their parents have shirts with each boy on each side.
Wow.
And, you know what I mean? But
that's
that kind of
story.
Yeah, you want to watch that. Everyone, I was like, where's that match?
Yep.
You want to see the brothers wrestle.
Absolutely.
But if you don't know, if I just didn't know, I wouldn't know. I was like, oh, cool, another match going on. Oh, what's going on over there? High crotch, double A. Okay, cool.
Scanning it, just going past.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's the stories. Sure. Yeah, I'm with you.
That's the most powerful thing we have on this planet, I believe, is our story.
Yes.
And we can tell it. We have such a unique opportunity in this world we live in to be able to tell our story. Before, when I grew up, like, unless you were famous, nobody other than your friends knew your story. And it's like now we have all these mediums that we can use these tools to get it out there. Jordan Burroughs has 1 million followers on Instagram. And I sound like a broken record on this podcast, but whoever his PR person is, I'm like, shove a camera in his face as much as you possibly can. That man is, his name's all I see is gold. He is gold.
Yeah.
He's Michael Jordan. Like, his family is incredible. They are salt of the earth people, love them, all this stuff. His story is incredible. He's been on this podcast. He talked about crying his freshman year and wanting to go home, missed his girlfriend, thought he sucked, all these things. Like, everybody needs to know that because we all know that. Whether you're a wrestler or not, you felt that, right?
Yeah.
And we can resonate with it and go, okay, now this guy's here. The fact that, like, I don't know, I was like, they need to just pay that man all the money they possibly can pay him to make him, and you women as well, like, their stories have to be known.
Yes.
You know, I think money follows eyes, and we need to find a way to get the eyes on the sport of wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, and that's my little tangent. I'm a cheerleader for it because it kills me when I hear that. I talk to some of these guys, these RTCs, or these girls, the RTCs, and they're like, oh, we have to fundraise this, and we get paid this little bitty whatever, and it's getting better, but it's so small, and I'm like, how are you even living?
Yeah.
You know, and but you're blessed to be able to do what you love to do, which that's incredible because not most people in life are not doing what they want to do.
Right.
So that's invaluable, but I want it to be better for you. So
yeah. Thank you.
That's my. I'm sorry, that's my tangent. I got off on it. So now we're competing for Olympics spots. We're competing for world spots. Where are you at in that? What if you're being honest? Where are you at in that? How much more time do you have? Are you on? You believe that you're ready? You feel like you're making a spot? Where are we at?
I'm not going to put a time limit on myself.
Yeah.
So
I had to ask.
Yeah, no,
but
it's okay.
yeah,
It's okay.
I like that.
Everyone does too, right? They're like, oh, is 2024 it?
Right.
2020? What's it? I'm like, I refuse to limit myself.
Yeah. Well, you're a competitor and you love this.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
In like the gritty stuff, like, I don't make a whole lot of money. That's okay. I'm living my dream.
You're living your dream.
This is, if I had all the money in the world, I'd be doing what I'm doing.
I love that. That's so good.
So it's all the money in the world, none of the money. What does it make the difference if I'm doing what I'm doing?
It really doesn't. But again, if you're listening to me and you got money, support wrestling. Girls like her need support. So go ahead.
Yeah. My hashtag. No,
exactly.
Just put a tagline in it.
For
right
real.
now.
For real. You can find Lauren. Yeah, you can find Lauren at Believe in the Weave. Her Venmo is.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
No, but no, I refuse to limit myself. And so whenever I hate doing what I'm doing, I'll move on.
Yeah.
Perfect. I love coaching already.
Yeah.
I already love helping people.
Sure.
I already love coaching. I all summer, that's what I just got back from doing, is traveling and doing camps and clinics. Yeah. That also supports my training.
And you're great at it.
Thank you.
That's where I met you, but you're incredible at it. So but right now it's competition.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah. So I, was current, I just coming back from an injury. Prior to that, I was number 2.
Yep.
On the national team. So that's kind of where I'm at in the mix.
Yep.
And
who's the number 1 right now, just for those that don't follow?
Helen Morelos.
Yeah, she happens to be good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
She's only Olympic gold medalist, world champion.
She happens to be pretty awesome. But yes.
She is awesome.
But you get to train with her quite a bit, huh?
No.
You don't?
No, I've actually never wrestled her.
Are you serious?
No, I'm serious. So
how in the world of everything does that not happen?
She's out in Arizona right now.
I know, but you guys are the same weight.
Yeah. Successfully just not
interesting.
Yeah.
So you're number 2, but don't even know, I mean, what you feel like.
So when I say number 2, I was number 2 non-Olympic weight.
Right. But
so the number 1 was Allie Reagan.
Right.
So she was, Olympic weights in an Olympic year is only 6 weight classes.
Is Allie still wrestling?
I don't believe so. I think she's coaching now.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
She's coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's at Grandview.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're number 2, Helen's number 1.
I don't know if I can even count myself as being number 2
well,
right now.
I know,
because
right
I didn't
now,
get a chance to prove myself at the last trials.
But still, I mean, just on paper, we're looking at it. You're still there. You're still in the top. I mean, you're still in the mix.
Yeah, and that's another reason why I refuse to I'm like, people are like, oh, you're kind of getting up there in age, I'm like, I don't care, I'm doing what I love and I'm getting better at it.
Yeah, I'm
figuring out what I need to do to be successful. And yes, I'm going to take all those lessons and pass them on to the athletes I work with and to everybody I train and stuff. Like, of course, I'm going to pass those on. That's what we do, but how foolish would I be to not give myself that opportunity? Yeah. If I'm going to just pass this information on, why not? I know what I need to do. I know what it's going to take. Yep. Why not give myself that chance to prove it?
That's true. No, I love it. I think I'd be pretty bummed if you were like, maybe I mean, you just don't seem like that type of person, you know? And I like that that you're going to do it until it sucks. And that not in the suck that you gotta, the suck we're talking about that you gotta go after, but until you hate it, you're like, I don't want to do this no more. I know, you know, if you make an Olympic team and you go, so say you go win it. Is that going to, you think that's the thing? You think that you'd be like, okay, I've done what I want to do. You think it changes at that point? Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Why would I stop when now I just got the support?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Now I'm like, woo, you know, just keep going with the support, you know?
Sure.
But again, even if I do it, because you know what, again, you know, asking what definition of success is, right?
I have that question, so you can go ahead and answer it. I said, what is success to you?
Okay, so you know, we keep asking that. You're like, oh, were you successful in high school? Were you successful in college?
It's the whole build up, because at the end, I always ask my guests, what is success to you?
Okay.
And so you can go ahead and answer it though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know, asking that question, like the Olympic gold medal, the world title,
right?
Those are goals.
Okay.
Yes, and ideally I get those.
Right.
You know, that's why I want it. But I love this path of like self-discovery. I love becoming a better person.
That's good.
I love wrestling is just an avenue to help me figure out myself.
Yeah.
And I'm only getting better at it. You know, it shows you your weaknesses.
Right.
It makes you deal with those emotions that you don't want to deal with. Yep. All of those things. It helps you refine yourself. And I love doing that. Yeah. I like working on myself, making myself a better human being. Not just for me, for the world, but also for all the athletes, all the people I'm going to come across. I want to pass that on.
That's so good.
You know, and I want to help them do it better and faster than me.
Yeah.
You know, and how can I pass those lessons on if I haven't learned those lessons yet? So to me, the definition of success is that, you know, is our legacy, is what can I obtain so that I can pass it on? Yeah. You know,
I like that a lot.
Yeah.
That's, and for, I mean, obviously for the question of how much longer, it makes sense when you say that, because it doesn't matter on the accolades. It's the journey. Yeah. And that's a powerful thing for sure. Now, since I know that you love the grit and you love the things that are hard and stuff like that, have you ever considered fighting?
I just got asked that yesterday, actually.
You would make a great fighter. I've been around a lot of fighters, like Maria Henderson's one of our friends, and she's going to be she just made her debut in the UFC. She's incredible. But you remind me of her. You're tough, you know, but have you thought about that route? I have, and I have a couple concerns. Okay. I don't know that I want to get a concussion. Yeah. You know? For sure. I don't know that I want to get a concussion. Yeah. And I don't really want to get hit in the face. Yeah. So those are like two, but you know. You've been hit in the face. I mean, you cut knees, but it's not like. Yeah. But have you ever put mitts on? Have you ever did any? Yeah, a little. Yeah. Okay. So Jessica I. Yeah. She fights in the UFC. Yep. So she's from Cleveland, Ohio. So close by. Yeah. So we connected a while back. She's out in Vegas now, and I actually got to help her prepare for her. Got to be a part of her training camp for Sarah McMahon. Yeah. So I actually got to be a part of that. Well, that was really cool, you know, and I got to work wrestling with her. Yeah. And takedowns and be her training partner for that. And so they were like, hey, we're just going to put gloves on you just in case. Yeah. And I'm like, just in case what? Yeah. Yeah. What do you mean? We're just wrestling, right? Yeah. Just in case what? Yeah. You know, and she got frustrated with me in one practice. Did she hit you? Oh, yeah. She starts popping me. I'm in on a double leg, but we're so close, you know? But she starts, I didn't really realize she was hitting me, you know, because it was like, I was shocked. And like, I was like, and she wasn't hitting me that hard. No. They were just like little pops, you know? It's probably it's almost instinct for them too. I think so. Yeah. That was her defense. Yeah, for sure. And her coach is like, that's not what she's here for. She's not here for that. Jessica, you're wrestling her. You know, they're kind of getting on her and coaching her down. Yeah. But that was fun. Yeah. And I do like to train. You're powerful. You're fast. You're durable. And you're gritty, and those things just translate to fighting. So, I'm not trying to talk you into fighting, but I'm just saying, I think that sport has exploded, obviously. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if I could sell tickets just because, like, I don't like to trash talk either. No, but I would be so bad at it. Be like, you're so pretty. I love your hair. Yeah, no, I think there's room for a good personality too. I mean, you just have to be polarizing, whether it be good or bad. You know, some people can't be good because they're just their personalities. They when they're awkward. Yeah. So when you're awkward, Triple C type thing, you know, Cejudo, he's an awkward communicator. So I know he's probably, if he ever sits on my couch, I'll have to tell him, you know, you're an awkward communicator. But what I mean by that is he had to go that cringe way because people weren't going to like him because he was too nice, kind of. guy
You gotta
over
be
here.
who you are.
Yeah. But for him, it was like create this alter ego, and so he became the king of cringe. That's what they call him, literally. And he embraced it, and so he makes these videos, and you're like, I almost can't watch it. It's so cringy. But it's what he says, I'm Triple C, champion of the Olympics, champion of the UFC, and the champion of cringe. So it's this thing. It's kind of a stick, but it works for him.
Yeah.
There's guys in the UFC that literally on the cutting block being told they're not going to fight no more, come up with a character, start getting hated, and now they're some of the greatest in.
But that brings us back to why that sells. The story. That brings us right back to the story sells.
That's it. And that's why the UFC is what the UFC is, because people know the story. Yeah. And if the story's not good, they invent one.
Yeah.
They took a good little, if you can call it this, but a good little look into the WWE and pulled a little of the theatrics.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Yeah.
It's the fact that the WWE is a $1 billion company to me is astonishing. That it's a fake, but it's entertainment. It's a story. And when I grew up, I loved Hulk Hogan. I loved all these guys. Why? Because they made up these fake stories. And it was theatrics. And I was like, yeah, that guy sucks over there. Hawk's going to kill him, It was just a story,
Yeah.
But I know we're going back to that whole thing. But I just wondered if you ever considered fighting, because I think you'd be good at it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And you said you have a friend that's like an incredible Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy.
Yeah, he's actually here in town. Well, he's out of town
right now.
I think he's out of the country. Actually.
Is he?
Yeah. But yeah, he's a BJJ world champion.
Wow.
Yeah. What style? I don't know. But yeah.
But that's see, you got somebody who could train you.
That's true, and he's a great teacher.
Yeah.
Great teacher.
Yeah. Well, if you ever consider it, let me know. I want to be ringside.
Okay.
So I just know you're gonna be like getting like it's gonna be going on. You're gonna be smiling the whole time because it's like just right up your alley. But okay, so we don't know about the fighting thing, but you're training right now. What's next for you? What's on the list right now? What are you training for? What's going on?
I don't have a competition just yet that I'm looking at. You
healthy though?
Yes.
Good.
Yeah. So I'll probably do something this fall. I've heard about some possible competitions happening. I don't know if it's been released, if it's official, allowed to be announced yet. Yeah. So there's some competition, happening this fall. So possibly that for sure, an international tour in January, February. Okay. So, and then, the US Open and all the good stuff starts coming up. But yeah.
What are you doing right now in your life to be better? Well, how are you suffering?
Oh, that's a great I love that question. That is a great question. So we talked about stretching.
Yeah, well, can't use stretching. Can't use stretching. Something else. How are you suffering? It could be reading a book a day for your month or whatever.
Well, and that's all that personal development stuff, like all of that kind of stuff. I do enjoy doing because I see the progress it makes. The mindset training, the all of that. I just got back from travel, and that's its own kind of stuff.
Do you like traveling, or is it kind of like yes and no?
Yes and no.
Yeah.
I do love it because I love adventures and I love like, this and that. But that's its own kind of suck too, is trying to figure out your own workouts
it's tough.
Your own workouts with all the travel, and not only the travel, but the energy you're putting into other people.
Oh man,
when you're coaching.
People don't understand how much that takes from you.
Yeah.
I did public speaking for 20 plus years now, and just like personal development and things of that nature. And I'm exhausted after those things, or just even coaching a room. You come out and you're like, my wife like, you want to go do this? I'm like, no, all I want to do is go to bed. So that would be tough. So you're coming off that tour. You say that's its own type of suck. So what else? What else is it that every day? Are you meditating? Do you meditate?
I do. I do. First thing in the morning, I stretch, I pray.
Yeah.
So I love Jesus.
Yeah, you go. Yeah.
So I love Jesus. I love God.
Good.
So I have my I call it my Jesus time.
Good.
Where I read the Bible and I'm pray and just quiet with myself for a little bit and do some journaling and stuff and stretching. I do about a half hour of stretching in the morning. And
do you do any visualization stuff?
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And obviously that's a good thing for us to do as far as our soul's concerned. I think it also makes you a better competitor. Are you finding that as well? That personal time, the personal care is helping you be a better competitor?
I think so, because it gives you that internal, you know, you got to know yourself.
Yeah.
You got to know yourself, and you got to know your opponent.
And like you said, that's the whole idea behind wrestling anyways for you, is working all that stuff out.
Yeah.
So there's the physical side and the mental side and the emotional side of it.
Yeah. There's so many pieces of it.
There is.
And what I like to train is the physical side. So doing the other side, the other stuff is kind of the suck for me.
Is it the hard part for you?
Yeah. Doing that other stuff. But I've started to enjoy it now too. I like my schedule. You know,
right.
I like my morning time. I like the quiet time. I like the journaling and stuff now.
Yeah.
Right. But that is my suck.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to just set the time aside.
And even the recovery.
Yeah,
honestly, that part
hard.
is hard for me too. The taking care of your body. I'm like, you could get a massage, or you could go get another run. I'm like,
right.
I want to go run.
Of
you
course
know?
you do.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah.
But the
That's
massage,
true.
I'm like, oh, you know, I should actually probably pull back. Or I had a friend that did the incline this morning, and I'm like, oh, cool. We could do the incline at 5 a.m. and then I could be at practice by 8. That would be great. And I'm like, no, the practice is the focus. Let's cut out the incline. We can do that a different day.
Jordan actually mentioned that to me the other day. We were doing dinner, and he said, I have had to learn what not to do.
Yes.
And he said, because I'm always the first guy at practice, the guy that's going the hardest in the room, the last guy to leave. You know, like he says, I prided myself on being the hardest worker that I could possibly be. He says, but I've also realized now that it's more productive for me to not do things. He says that's extremely hard for him. Is that the same for you?
I would agree. And my kind of theme that I've been going off of here recently for myself is work smarter, not harder. Because I am that gritty, that tough, that, you know, so finding ways to do the smarter thing. Like, climb the incline and then go into practice. Yeah, you're tough, you know, but is it the smartest thing?
Right.
Because you're going to have the most optimum practice. Are you going to gain the most out of it? Or are you going to be worrying about how on fire your legs are and how hungry you are and how, you know what I mean? Like those are all in the back of your mind, but how much learning are you going to actually get out of that practice? How, you know, so finding the way to get the optimum out of your body.
Yeah.
And so, do I need to recover? Yes.
Yeah.
Do I need to sleep in? Probably.
Right.
You know,
for sure.
Yeah.
And for you, you're already good at being tough.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of like training biceps and you know, for the mirror muscles, you know, you're already tough.
Yeah.
You could use other time to do things that maybe is your weakness and get better. For sure. Well, I like that you're doing the meditation stuff and just the self-care stuff, because I think that's longevity, you know, and I want to see you around this sport and just giving back like you do for years and years to come. What, if you're speaking to a high school room right now, what advice you give these young men and women about the sport of wrestling?
So I always tell them, my whole thing is believe in Louive, right?
Yeah.
Lauren Louive, believe in Louive.
Yeah.
So what that comes down to is believe in yourself.
Yeah.
You know, everyone questions themselves,
Yeah.
no matter what it is. Like, oh, you know, am I strong? Am I tough? Do I look pretty? You know, everyone, am I going to look stupid doing this?
Yeah.
You know, everyone questions themselves. So believe in yourself.
Yeah, that's good.
You already have the answers. You already know. You don't have to listen to those around you. Yeah. You know it in yourself.
Yeah.
You know, so believe in Louive, believe in you.
That's right.
So that's kind of, you know, and I tell a couple stories about, you know, times that I figured out that I had to believe in myself and that no one else was going to believe in me.
Yeah. Have you gone through those personal struggles that's really made you question that belief system in you?
Yes, all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, one of the stories I tell the kids is a story about my dad. You know, and I absolutely love my dad. We have a great relationship. But I was competing at this, the New York Athletic Club tournament.
Yep.
So I was competing at that tournament, and, you know, it's an international. So Russia, China, you know, all the countries are there.
Yep.
They're all represented. At least pre-COVID they were.
Yeah, sure.
You know,
It's
pre-COVID
different
now.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it, you know, it was a good, tough tournament, you know, and, I had just graduated college, and this was my time that I got to prove myself. And I'm like, I get to show everyone who Lauren Louive is.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's gonna know. And so I'm like, I'm all pumped up. I'm like, I want to make an Olympic team. I want to make a world team. Like, this is my chance to make a splash in the wrestling world.
Yeah.
And I go to this tournament and I go 2-0.
Oh.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
and that's never happened to me before. Like, not even in high school or
Yeah.
college. Like, I at least won one match.
Right,
You know?
right, yeah.
And so I was like, wow. And so I'm super upset. And I'm at the airport and I'm crying. You know, I'm just like in and out of tears, you know. And who do you want to talk to when you're that upset?
Your pops.
Your parents,
Yep.
yeah. So I call my dad, and, you know, I just want to hear him say, I love you. Everything's going to be okay. You're my favorite kid. I love you more than your sister. You know,
Yeah.
And that's what I want him to say.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I'm calling to hear a kind of a pick me up, you know.
Right.
And what's he tell me?
Oh, I don't even know. I don't think.
How long are you going to keep doing this thing?
Oh no.
When are you going to quit? When are you going to be done?
Because he didn't want to see his baby hurt, but he said it the wrong way.
Right.
Yeah.
And now I know, right?
Yeah.
Now looking back, I know what he meant by all of those things, but
Yeah.
he's like, how long are you to keep doing this thing?
For sure.
And I was like, arrow straight to the heart, right? My own dad doesn't believe in me.
Yeah.
That's what I was hearing,
Of
right?
course,
My
of
own
course.
dad doesn't think I can do this.
Yeah.
And that hurt. And I hung up the phone on him. You know, I like, just hang up the phone on him. And I was still crying. And I'm super upset. But it was actually in that moment that I was like, it doesn't matter.
You believe in you.
I believe in myself. He doesn't even see it for me. My own dad.
Wow.
But that's okay. It's okay.
Right.
Because I believe in myself. He doesn't have to see it for me. Because you know what? Even if he believes in me, it doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Him believing me, I have to believe it.
Right.
And it was in that moment that I recognized that.
For sure.
And so I tell kids that story too, because not everyone's going to believe in you.
Yeah.
The people closest to you that you think should, they're not going to see it for you because they can't see your heart.
That's good.
They can't see what's inside of you.
Yeah.
You know, your coach, you might get offended sometimes because they don't see certain things for you, or they offend you because of certain things they say because you think they don't believe in you. And so that's my message to the kids is believe in Louive, believe in yourself.
I like that. That's really good and needed. You know, the wrestling world and the sport actually attracts a lot of kids that are struggle in that area. You know, and I'm glad we have a sport that can help them sustain their self-belief, you know, even though it's going to test it. But when you get tested like that over and over again, it has a way of building confidence, and that's a good thing. I like that message. Just keep doing it for sure. What do you value?
Ooh, great. Wow. You got all the good questions. What do I value? I value a lot.
Yeah.
I value, again, I'm a woman of faith. So I value my relationship with God.
Right.
I value people. You know, I value relationship with people.
Yeah.
You know, I actually just had a really good experience in Alaska.
Okay.
I did a wrestling camp up there,
Yep.
and I loved it because, I mean, the views were amazing. The nature is amazing. You know, I'm an outdoors girl.
Yeah.
I love nature. It was amazing, you know, but the thing that made the trip was the people,
Really?
you know, and the people, it was a small, tight-knit community, but they showed value to each other. Like so much value that you don't get that everywhere.
Yeah.
You know,
rare.
it's a small, tight-knit communities, just like wrestling.
Yeah.
Right. It's the value in one another. It was like, it made me want to be a better human being there.
Wow.
It was like one of those things where there's 3 of us women, we're sharing a hotel room. They give us 2 towels, you know, 2 large towels, right?
Yeah.
Otherwise you got the little hand towels, you
for
know,
sure.
and all 3 of us are fighting over who gets to use the small towel,
cool.
because I want you to use the big
Yeah.
towel, you know, and honestly, the first day I wasn't like that. I was like, yeah, I'm taking a big towel, you know, but they kept doing, I'm like, no, no, you used the small towel yesterday. I'm using the small towel, you know, but it wasn't, they kept showing value.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, the whole community was that way, right?
That's so cool.
Showed so much value in people that it makes you feel honored to be able to be a part of it. So
Absolutely.
I value people and relationships.
That's good. I love that. Yeah, service and just community is massive, and obviously in faith and in our faith, I think in some sense it's missing, even though we have the church and things like that. It's like it's a dog eat world, even sometimes in the church, and like we're hungry for real connection and community, and
that's a part of wrestling too, right?
Yeah.
At the high level, like, oh, I have to be selfish, get what you need, like, oh, I got to be selfish in order. I don't want to do it that way.
Yeah,
I want to do it different.
Yeah,
you know, I want to show value to other people. I don't want to step on people to get to where I want to get.
Yes, absolutely. I think I've been in a weird world where I've been wrestling world, business world, faith world. I've had all these family world, and what I've realized, and it's kind of a common thread in a lot of like self-help stuff now, but you can have a blank check in any area of your life, whether it be financial or it be in your relationships, when you create value.
Yeah.
That's the key to in success, in as far as like the tangible things. That's the key. It's creating value. If I want to be, an accountant, and there's a million accountants, all I got to do is create value in other people's lives, and the money will follow that value.
Yeah.
It's the same way with love. You create value in other people's life, love follows that trail.
Yeah.
And so my thing is I try to just continue to pour out value in other people, and it's amazing because it returns so amplified.
And I think a lot of people miss that.
Yeah.
We think there's limited resources, and there's
not.
with the value. And, and even one of the things I've been seeing it with is RTCs.
Yeah.
And at the colleges, at the Division I college levels and stuff like that, being afraid to commit to a women's program because everyone wants to hold the resources to themselves because there's limited resources, or so we think. But that's not true.
That's not true.
If we invest in those areas, it's only going to come back to us tenfold.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.
I really think that's a universal truth.
I agree.
Whatever you need, you give into that place, and 100%. It's going to come back to you
100%
more.
Yep.
Yeah.
I definitely, the word says you reap what you sow.
Yes.
But it also talks about it being multiplied and amplified. And I completely agree to that. And I actually have the question I have for you out of that is, what is in Lauren's garden right now? What are you sowing?
Ooh, you got all the good questions. I like, dang, I love this.
Yeah.
Okay, what am I sowing? Belief in other people. I told you my message to the kids is believe in yourself.
Yeah.
And I'm sowing into children.
Yeah.
And the athletes that I work with. And not just the athletes I work with, their parents.
Yeah.
Whoever. Wrestling is it's my avenue to help people. It's what I use to invest in people. So that's what I'm investing in, is people.
Yeah, it's
other
good.
people, because we all need each other.
Yep.
And if I can help you, if I can show value to you in this way, we can work together.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And not that I didn't want anything from you,
right,
except to see you be successful genuinely and truly.
Yep.
Because if you're successful, I'm successful because I was a part of that.
Yep. That's so good. And because of that, I truly believe that the life that you want will come to you.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing too. It's just like in wrestling, you force moves, you're not going to be good. It's when it comes to you and you start flowing and you start feeling like it almost, it's weird because when I've been wrestling before, and I'm trying to force things, it feels like an impossibility,
Yes.
And there's been other times where I've been on the mat and it just seems so effortlessly because I'm just allowing it to come to me. The same thing has happened in this podcast, same thing has happened in business life, my marriage. My first 5 years on marriage, we were trying to make it happen because we didn't know how to be married.
Yeah.
We didn't know how to be husband and wife. I didn't know how to be a husband. I was a new dad. I was a new husband. I was messing up because I was trying to force it, or this is the way my parents were. This is the way we're going to be. This is just force. And then my wife and I decided that we were, instead of fighting with each other, we'd start fighting for each other.
Ooh.
And we would allow life we just said, we are a part of the same thing. We want to invest in one another. I want to see you be the best version of you. And it just, then naturally it was like, oh, this is good.
Yeah.
But that is everything though, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I think there's wrestlers out there that are getting less than their best because they're trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
Just be the best version of you, and I promise you'll climb the podium quicker than trying to force it.
Yes.
Don't come so singly focused, I got to be a world champion. Become the best version of you. That'll take care of itself if it's in the cards for you. Mm-hmm. Don't the other things don't matter. It's like, be the best version of you.
Yes.
Yeah,
you can't be anybody else.
You can't.
Yeah.
I'm stuck with this the rest of my life. It's like, might as well get used to it, you know?
And exactly what you said when you're like, in wrestling, when I'm forcing stuff, it's funny. I was just working with Nate Carr this morning, and that's what we were working on is like, he's real good with, with ducks and elbow pass. And all he's doing is reading the body. Yeah. All he's doing is seeing what you're reacting off and not forcing anything. Right. And again, my gritty style, I'm so much force. So my life actually, it's funny. Again, wrestling's this avenue to show me, to guide me. And so my life in wrestling are going like this, right? So
I told you when I met you, I said, I can watch you wrestle
yes,
and I can tell you who you are.
I still want to see this. I still want to do it.
Yeah,
But yeah, my life and wrestling are going hand in hand, So being the gritty wrestler, the forceful wrestler, because not the technique's not high, right? I'm good at communicating techniques, so that's why I can explain it to kids.
Right.
But my technique is not the most fancy. That's why, because I'm gritty.
Because you're gritty and you're tough. Yeah.
Yeah, but again, smarter, not harder. So trying to not force things,
right,
and find where's the give, where's the take, how is this person reacting, and that relates into my life too. Trying to what's smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
What's the give and the take? Where can I, what investments can I make here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where's the value?
And I will say this. I think if an interesting little trick for you to try is, if you want to be smoother on the mat, find out where you can be smoother off the mat. And if it's and try that, like, okay, maybe hypothetically here, you're like, I want to meet the man of my dreams, but I don't know how to talk to whatever. Start putting yourself in those positions to not force it, but to flirt with it, to enjoy the process, to be smooth. I promise you'll learn more in that lesson that you can translate to the mat. How'd that make me feel? Well, okay, it's the same thing whenever I'm trying to hit this slick outside single, but I'm the person that's gonna pound you to the ground and go behind.
Yeah.
Well, instead, no, I can be really good here, but I gotta practice it even off the mat.
Yes, especially off the mat.
Yeah.
And you were talking earlier with you and your wife and the first 5 years of marriage, and we're just trying to grind through it, right?
Yeah.
The gritty, right? That stubbornness.
Yeah.
People would tell me all the time, like, you're so stubborn. I'm like, I'm resilient.
Yeah.
I'm just resilient.
Yeah.
But I didn't believe them
because
I wasn't wrestling with that open mind. And even in my life too,
Sure.
being stubborn about it has to be done this way, instead of like, oh, I could do it that way too. Oh, that's easier.
Right. A lot of our hangups are, if we dig down to the bottom of it, and especially, you're being a spiritual person as well, we dig down to the bottom of like the hangups we have in life and the frustrations we have in life and maybe the underdevelopment and the lack of growth. There's always a fear and a lie at the bottom of it. And if you can get to that fear spot, because fear is the antithesis of faith. Mm-hmm. So faith is as the word says, faith is what's hoped for yet not seen, right? Yes. It's the hope in us that we want, but we haven't seen it yet.
Yes.
Right? Fear is what we haven't seen, what we hope doesn't happen. Yes. They both have to do with belief. We believe one of the two are going to happen. One is the thing we want. The other one's the thing we don't want. So a lot of times, wrestlers, people, we live by fear because we don't want something to happen. I don't want to be poor. I'm going to work really hard because I don't want to be poor. Your whole basis of working is a fear. So you can't grow good from that soil. It won't happen.
Mindset.
It's same with the wrestling. It's like, if I can get to the bottom of why am I not feeling comfortable taking this particular thing? Well, the reality is I probably feel like I'm not good enough or not fast enough, or I'm whatever. I got this ungodly belief in me that says that I'm not good enough.
Yeah. Afraid to lose.
Afraid
of certain positions.
Yeah. If I get there, she's better here. Well, that's not a truth. That is a fear. Yeah. That's not a fact. You've perpetuated it into belief, but it's not fact.
Right.
So getting to those, and I think that's the mental work we have to do as competitors and just in life, or even in my marriage. My wife says something, I fly off the handle. Why? It wasn't the words. It's what it made me feel like.
Yes.
It's
something within yourself.
I heard that. It's the phone call I got from my dad and said, when you going to stop that? When are you going to stop doing this? When are you going to do something else? I promise if you've not dealt with that, when you are in a relationship, somebody's going to say something and you're going to go right back to that place in your heart and you're going to have that reaction like, I don't care. I believe in me. Doesn't matter what he says. He can leave.
Yeah.
It's universal.
Yeah.
Not to go off in
wrestling forces you to deal with those things.
It has to. And I always tell people this, imagine your life, whole span of life is a 100-foot rope, right? Let's say you got hurt by somebody when you're 12 years old. You got a real strong rope, 100 foot of it. But when that hurt happens at 12 foot in, it puts a big old mark in that. Anytime there's pressure pulled on it, I don't care where you're at in that line, it snaps at 12. That's us. if we don't deal with those things, regardless of where they're at, we are breaking at those points.
That's a great visual. Yeah.
It helps us understand. And so I like to do inventory of my life on a regular. Go back. Oh, yeah, I remember Dad said this. I didn't like the way it made me. Well, okay, fix that.
Yeah.
You know, I like to live current, and then I like to live in faith, which is the forward.
And exactly what you just said, you keep reliving it. Like
Always.
it's like a test that happens.
Yeah.
And if you don't pass that test, if you don't figure that out, you keep reliving
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you find it in different situations and different scenarios. If you don't forgive people.
Oh, that's huge.
Yeah. If you don't forgive people, be like, oh, how could you have forgiven this person for this or that? Oh, because I don't want to deal. Like, I don't want to see that again.
I tell people all the time, I said, forgiveness is more for you than it is the person.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is for you.
Yeah, it is for you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Well, I know we went off on these things,
Yeah,
but it's all good. What makes a good leader?
Man, all these good questions. All these great questions.
Yeah.
I think valuing people and,
Yeah.
and caring about other people, and also doing the hard thing too.
Yeah.
Right.
Modeling it.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, investing in people, actually caring for them, because people know when you don't care.
Yeah.
And also don't take the easy way out and take the easy job. If there's something hard that needs to be done, you do it.
Yeah.
You're the leader. You don't pawn that off on someone else.
It's good.
You do it, and you teach others how to do it with you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I don't really feel like mopping mats. You mop mats. But also balance to knowing when and how to delegate tasks.
Right.
Like, I'm not just gonna take everything on. I'm gonna teach others how to step up and lead. So lead others on how to lead too.
For sure. That's good. I mean, I definitely think those are great leadership qualities. You already answered my question about the success, what that one is, but I have another question here for you. Who is your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers?
My Mount Rushmore. So is that 5?
Yeah,
or just in general,
just in general, because there's some people give it a couple, some people give it like 10, but because there's hundreds of people could put on there.
Yeah.
But for you, who is it?
Okay, well, my first ever favorite wrestler who actually made me love watching Iowa wrestling was Brett Metcalf.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and not just because, he drew me into his wrestling because of the way he wrestled, probably because I wrestle that way.
Mm-hmm.
I loved watching him wrestle and compete, but he's a fantastic person. And when I was at Iowa, he invested time into me.
Yeah, that's good.
I at the time when I was at Iowa, I was working a job. And I had to be at that job by 6:30 in the morning. Mm-hmm. And he would come in at 5 a.m. to work with me. Who does that? Who does that?
Yeah.
And I'm not paying him.
Yeah.
So that.
Yeah.
So if, Brett Metcalf, loved watching him wrestle. Of course, Jordan Burroughs.
Yeah.
Who's not going to say Jordan Burroughs?
For sure.
He has made the sport so professional.
Yeah.
I appreciate the professionalism that he has brought to the sport.
Yep.
JB Metcalf, Tamara Mensah.
Okay.
She is a phenomenal person.
Yeah.
And of course, her gold medal, but she's a gold medal person too. She values people. She listens to people. She cares about people. Yeah. So, I appreciate that in her. Those three, those are the 3 main ones that really stick out to me.
That's a good list. I mean, I like always hearing, and I like yours. There's a personal reason to some of it as well, which I like. Obviously you can throw Gable, on there. You can throw Kale, and Kale. All these people could be on, but I like hearing from each person because there's a reason, that we connect to these people. Yeah. But yeah, no, that's really good. Another question I have for you: if I'm writing a book, the Fighting for Success book, and there's a chapter in there, there's the Lauren chapter in there. What would you write your keys to success, your top 3 keys to success? And when you talked about your success, what the definition of it is. Mm-hmm. If you're trying to coach someone to that type of success, what would be the 3 points that they would need to do?
You got to know yourself.
Yeah.
You got to know yourself and where you're going.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, because if you told me you do self-evaluations, so you got to know where you're at.
Yep.
You know yourself, where you're going, where you're at, what it's going to take to get you there.
Yeah.
What are the resources you need? Who are the people you need to connect with?
Yep.
So creating a plan for yourself.
Yeah.
If I'm trying to get to Denver, right? Yeah. Well, where am I going? Denver.
Right.
How am I going to get there? I don't want to walk, so I'll take a car.
Right. Yeah.
What time am I leaving? What time do I need to be there?
Right.
That kind of stuff. So
yeah, that's good.
Creating a plan.
Yeah, I like that.
So keys to success. Yeah, know yourself. You got to be willing to work hard. You know, and you got to be willing to learn.
Yeah.
You know, I again, stubborn, resilient, whatever you want to call it. You know, for a long time, it took me a while to be open.
Yeah.
And like I told you, like now I understand what it is I need to do.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to give myself the opportunity to do it.
That's good.
So, being open to learning and to learning from everyone. You know, sometimes you're like, oh, this person doesn't have the accolades. Why should I listen to them? That's not true.
Right.
That person has insight that you don't know about.
Right.
So learn everything you can from everyone.
That's good.
Yeah, I think that was 3.
Yeah, I think so. Those are great points. Yeah. I was going to let you go as long as you want because we're all good. So yeah. Yeah. If I asked you, there's sitting in that seat, you have, you could give me fighters, jiu-jitsu people, you could give me wrestlers, coaches, people that's been in a combat sport and gone business. Who are you challenging? Who are you challenged to be in the seat? Who's going to help people learn and grow if I interview them? You got anybody you want to throw in the challenge seat?
Ooh, challenge seat. So to come in and interview, let me think. Well, I think someone that would be great. He's got his own podcast, and I know you listen to
Yeah. He would.
Yeah, let's challenge Jocko Willink.
Jocko, come on.
Jocko,
you heard it here.
You got to come into the. That's who I would challenge. I mean, I think he's a wonderful leader, and I love. Yeah.
What I want to do with these challenges, I'm gonna, when I send these out and put these out, I'm gonna make little clips, and whoever you challenge, I'm tagging in them. So maybe Jocko sees this.
There we go.
Yeah,
that's the challenge.
Yeah, well,
we've met before. If you remember me.
Yes, and Jocko, if you're listening, you need her to come train your daughters because she's the real deal. So, well, that's cool. Yeah, I'll throw that up there. One thing that I like to do at the end of these things is, again, I told you, and I have plenty of people in this podcast that aren't spiritual. That I don't want people to get the wrong idea that if you don't, you're not in the same line of faith as me, or that you can't be in here. I think we can all learn. I think we can all have conversations, and I respect the journey. My testimony is I was a jacked up wild person for a long time. So and not everybody's on my path. They're on different paths. So I respect that, but I believe that part of my gifting is speaking over people in discernment and just encouragement. And I tell people I could read your mail in the bad sense because that's part of the gifting too, but the Lord doesn't see you that way. So why it doesn't do us any good. We know how bad we are. We know our struggles. So one thing I like to do is kind of just impart things that I feel. Obviously, we've met at a camp one time, and I saw you in the OTC room the other day, so I don't know you. So what I share with you, I ask people just to meditate on it, pray on it, and take it in and see where it
give
grows.
It to me. Yeah. I'm ready. Give it to me.
So obviously, I love what you represent, and what I have felt pressed up on me is, and I always get these. What's interesting is a lot of times when I do this, God will give me a biblical character to kind of bring this home with. But what I see that you are this light in this world that people are starting to see, that you haven't always been perceived as that person. There has been for lack of a better term, there's been an opinion about you at times that's not accurate, and that you've been misunderstood, and that maybe a lot of times that's closed doors because just, again, a misunderstanding. But they're starting to see you in a different light. They're starting to see you as the loving character and that God has placed on this earth, that is doing things to encourage and to promote other people. The grittiness and the toughness in you sometimes can get used against you, and people will see that as something different than it is. But what the character that God gave me for you, which was interesting, was Moses. And Moses was a man that was brought up in a culture that wasn't his, left, was alone for a long time, but was called back to his people. And I feel that in your life. I feel that you've been a lone wolf for a while, but you've been called back to your people. And just like with Moses, it's to lead people somewhere. And the interesting thing about it was, I saw him when he comes down off of the mountain, and the people say, "Please cover your face because you're shining so bright we can't even look at you." And so you're a ray of sunshine. You're going to be something that people, again, when you get close proximity to them, they may not even be able to handle all that Lauren is, but that your goal is to lead them to the promised land. And that promised land is self-awareness and finding their faith and their belief in themselves. So I thank you for what you do. I encourage you to continue to do it. You have so much to give, and so much going to be given to you, because I know you're going to sow the right things. I'm excited to watch you develop and to continue this journey in wrestling, but even more so as the person that you are. I'm excited to see where all it takes you. And I thank you so much for being on the Fighting for Success podcast. I hope you've had a good time.
I've had a great time. Thank you so much. I receive all of that.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap. We did it.
All my life. If it looks too hard, you try it. If your body says no, you defy it. If it's a better way, you apply it.